When I did the first drawing of Astrid, while I was happy with it to a degree, it just wasn't quite Astrid. She's meant to have quite a harsh face, and what I didn't like about the first drawing is it looked too modelly and like the scars hadn't really affected her when they had. So I wanted to do a second try and really try and get that look that Astrid has. So the first thing I'd do, on what I always do normally, is I always do all my sketching on tracing paper. That way if there's any mistakes, it doesn't matter, I haven't wasted any paper, and I can just test everything out on the tracing paper. Once I've done all the shading and all the details and I know where everything's going to be placed, then I take the tracing paper and I layer it over whatever kind of paper I want to use. Now because I'll be using my polychromo pencils, I want a very smooth surface. I don't want anything that's too rough. So I'll be using a smooth paper, and then I'm going to be using a clipboard to hold it in place so that way it doesn't move or shuffle around. Once I've transferred everything onto the paper, I'm then going to go over everything, redraw it, reshade it, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my polychromo pencils. Now, before I use the pencils, one thing that I've really gotten into doing is using pro markers just as a base colour. So once I've figured out what colours I want to use, I cover everything with the base colour. And then I might use a second colour just to add a little bit of shading. But for the most part, once I've used the pro markers, I'm then going to go over it with my polychromos and just start adding all the shading with that.
And it's true, I was never afraid of the dark. No, I was never afraid until you, oh, the weapon you make of my heart.
After that, I just layered the colours over each other again and again. And one thing that's quite important when you're using pencils, unless it's the deliberate style you're going for, is try and layer the colours as much as possible. Try and have a very light hand and then apply it very gently and just keep on layering the colours. It means that you're a lot less likely to make mistakes, and then even if you do, because you've applied it lightly, it's a lot easier to go back and layer more colours over it to hide that than if you just went straight in and really pressed that pencil into the paper. Once I'd finished the drawing though, I still decided it wasn't quite Astrid. While there were aspects that I had improved on since the first drawing, it still wasn't quite there, so I ended up doing a third drawing, which I didn't end up filming, but if you want you can go ahead and you can see the full blog post all about that on my blogs. But otherwise this is the second drawing and this is how I did it.